Basic Education Minister Siviwe Gwarube has embarked on a learning and listening tour out in the Eastern Cape. Now, this tour is part of the minister's nationwide initiative to gain a deeper understanding of the educational sector across all 9 provinces, with a particular focus on identifying the unique challenges, opportunities, ambitions, as well as priorities that each provincial education sector faces. Well, she joins us now to give us more details. Minister, always great having you with us. Happy Heritage Day. So this initiative on paper sounds great. I mean, take us through how you plan to identify all these unique challenges and how you will then fully implement your findings.
Good evening, and good evening to your listeners. One of the things that I'm doing in this listening tour is to essentially identify and go and really see for myself the challenges that provinces are facing. And that's important, because if we are going to be supporting provinces, then we need to make sure that I have a full understanding. As somebody who is not from the sector, I've spent a great deal of time listening to a lot of our stakeholders. Now it's high time that I go and see for myself in the provinces what are the challenges. For instance, I'm here in Nelson Mandela Bay right now, and one of the big issues that this particular region is facing and grappling with is the issue around gangsterism and safety in schools. And one of the schools and one of the areas I'm going to be visiting tomorrow are schools that are saying we can't be doing and be busy with the business of doing 7 hours of teaching per day, while we are worried about our lives and we are worried about the safety and the well-being of the learners and educators. And so these are some of the things that I want to be able to see myself, whether it's infrastructure challenges, safety in schools, whether or not we are getting the required 7 hours of teaching and learning time as we mark exactly 50 days today before we get to the matric exams.
Very commendable on your part, Minister, and maybe even more clarity there. I mean, you have been very vocal also in how challenges like pit latrines will be at the very top of your list of priorities when you took office. Of course, rural schools will obviously have different challenges as compared to either urban as well as private schools. There has been a flurry of concerns. I'm sure I know you mentioned some there relating to child nutrition, especially for those less developed schools, school infrastructure, as you mentioned before, like well-resourced libraries and science labs, so as to close the gap on inequality in education across the sector, where the problem of pupils who cannot read for meaning are mostly emanating from. Also, the recent issue of scholar transport, Minister. Where are you in terms of finding solutions for these?
These are all issues that you raise that are incredibly important, because these are the issues that are exactly the ones that are dogging the system. And these are the things that are taking away from critical time that we need in the classroom. And so one of the things that you raise is around infrastructure. We know that the province, the Eastern Cape being a rural province, is battling severely with issues around overcrowding in classrooms, with issues around pit latrines, with issues around inappropriate infrastructure that is still in schools. And one of the things that we are very adamant about as the DBE, at least under my leadership, is that there should be no single province that is sending money back to Treasury when there are still so many challenges that are in each province, especially as it pertains to clearing of pet toilets. And I want to come to that because it's something that I do believe it is a blemish in our democratic and constitutional democracy of 30 years, that there are still children who are in danger of drowning in pet toilets in their schools. And that is why we have given ourselves until March next year to clear the entire backlog, as was announced by the president, to clear the entire backlog that was identified. But I think it's important, even once that backlog has been done, that we are constantly doing an independent audit of where there are inappropriate and improper infrastructures in schools, because we have to make sure that this is something that we have a handle on. There are infrastructure budgets. provinces must spend those budgets and make sure that we don't send them back to Treasury.
A very quick one, Minister. Another topical issue at schools is, of course, the racial incidents that have been making a lot of headlines in parts of the country. And as we commemorate Heritage Month, so what specific school programs are on the pipeline in order to try and promote multicultural diversity while also promoting indigenous languages and languages of instruction on certain subjects?
Absolutely, I think that's a very important point, and you know, one of the things that we do as the DBE is we have as a branch within the department that deals specifically with social cohesion in schools, and we are constantly in contact with our provincial counterparts to say, how do we create safe environments for our learners in schools? Schools should never be a place of discrimination, but should be a place of safety and learning, and so that's why we can never tolerate any kind of discrimination, whether it is racial, whether it is sexual orientation, whether it is even bullying in our schools. And we've got to essentially equip schools on how do they deal with incidents like that when they do happen. And that's something that we are currently busy with as the DBE within the department. But I also think you raise a broader point, which is around the promotion of particularly mother tongue education, which I think is something that as a country we've often overlooked. And as one of the priorities that I have in this term is to how do we improve our literacy rates as a country. We have some of the lowest literacy rates in the world, and we've got to change that around. And the way that we start to change that around is recognizing the usefulness of mother tongue based bilingual education, where learners are able from grade R all the way and for many years to be able to learn in their mother tongue so that they can perform at a level that is fair, whereas they are not just studying in English, a language that is foreign to them, and they are still having to learn content subjects through that very language that they're learning for the first time. And so it's a great opportunity to start talking to people about how do we promote our indigenous languages, and all 12 of them, as we're entering Heritage Month.
Absolutely, Minister. And a very quick one, when can we expect any report back on your fact-finding mission across the country?
So I'm here for in the Eastern Cape for 2 days, and I'll be doing all the other 8 provinces within the next 5 weeks, and I'll be able to present to the country to say these are the priorities that we have in the sector, these are the challenges that we have in the sector, and this is how we are going to essentially address them. Because what is important for me is that I want South Africans to be able to hold me to account to the things that I commit to, and so it's important that once this tour is done, that I say these are the things that we're going to be assisting provinces with, and I want you to be able to, in 3 months' time, hold me accountable to the things that I've said we are going to address. And so I'll be able to, in the next couple of weeks, be able to give a national picture of what we are seeing on the ground as a sector.
We're looking forward to that, certainly. Minister, it's always great having you with us here on The Full View. That is Basic Education Minister Siviwe Gwarube live with us on a nationwide school fact-finding mission.